Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Recruit Military Live, a continuing series of live broadcasts covering all things military transition, veteran employment, mil-spouse employment, and much more. My name is Lucas Connolly, retired U.S. Army officer and former TAP program manager, here to share with you the ins and outs of navigating the waters of civilian employment. If you're in search of meaningful employment, well, then you're in the right place. Please visit rmvets.com/live to learn more. Now, are you a transitioning service member, veteran job seeker, or mil-spouse seeking civilian employment? Well, you're in the right place, so don't touch that mouse. Today's topic is job hunting with Recruit Military. Our guest today is going to show us how to use the resources and tools at www.recruitmilitary.com to provide the tools that they provide at that website. At recruitmilitary.com, you'll have everything you need to conduct a high-speed, low-drag job search that generates actionable results. So check your equipment, tighten your chin strap, and get ready for a full throttle search of the very highest of high-value targets, a meaningful career. Got a very special guest on the show today. It's going to be interesting, so stick around. Today's guest is standing in the door and ready to jump into the topic of job searches. That's right. He is a former member of America's Guard of Honor, the All-American 82nd Airborne Division, with service in both Iraq and Afghanistan. He has spent the last 11 years working for the nation's largest military-centric recruiting company, our very own Recruit Military. In that role, he's been helping military talent find meaningful employment with companies who value military talent. Now, don't put your hands together for this next guest. On the contrary, keep your feet and knees together as we check canopy, gain canopy control, and welcome our special guest, Mr. Chris Newsome.
Lucas, thank you so much. That's about the most airborne introduction I've ever had. So yeah, absolutely. Tip of the cap to you. Thanks for having me on today.
I only had to rehearse the module 700 times.
You nailed it.
All right, folks. Now that you know who we are, let's find out who you are. Feel free to jump into the chat and the comment windows. Let us know where you're watching us from, who you are, who you're with, what your status is. Are you active duty, in transition, a veteran job seeker, a mil-spouse, a caregiver, or something else we haven't thought of? We want to hear your concerns, questions, and comments. Jump in there, and time allowing, we'll get after them. Okay, Chris, let's get underway. A lot of different resources out there on the internet, ton of job sites, a lot to navigate through. Today, we're talking about Recruit Military. Let's start by just taking a look at the company. Recruit Military. What is their business? How do they do business? Tell us about the company as a whole.
Yeah, it's simplistically complex, but incredibly easy to utilize as a service member looking for the next career. So as you alluded to, there's a lot of noise in this space. There's a lot of organizations. There's tens of thousands of military-centric entities out there, all trying to do wonderful things. We commend them, but it can be difficult to navigate through that sea of noise. So what Recruit Military stands to do is to be a single purpose entity with a very meaningful impact. So our entire purpose is to serve as a conduit between the military community, and that's everybody that you mentioned: active duty, guard, reserve, veteran, spouse, caregiver, etc. Anybody that falls under that military community, to connect them with the employers that specifically want to hire and retain them. We know everybody in America is hiring right now, but we're looking to bridge the gap between the military community and those that specifically have those dedicated military hiring initiatives. So there are three primary verticals that Recruit Military leans on to be able to facilitate those connections. Okay. Everything starts with building one's professional profile, and that's really what we're going to dig into today. Upon completion of one's professional profile, it gives you access to three primary verticals, and that is our job board, and very, very standard operating system, not unlike the others that are out there, whether niche or otherwise, the Indeeds, the other boards that are out there. We have a board, but it's exclusively for the military community. We're asking very military specific questions. Some of these organizations are looking for very specific military attributes, if you will. So we have our job board where one can upload their professional profile, upload their resume, perform job searches, apply online. start that life cycle of the hiring process for a given organization. Everything starts with an online application. So we have our job board. We have our events. We do close to 100 events each and every year.
Wow.
A lot of major markets. Think of Dallas, New York, San Diego, Atlanta. The full event schedule. I'll show you how to access that here momentarily. But the events are a great way to really have a dedicated conversation with a recruiter. So we do both physical and virtual events to make sure that we're able to cover every inch of the country, every time zone, and to be able to support our friends and family that are stationed to CONUS as well. So between the board, between our events, and then our placement services, and the placement services are where you can be selected by one of our in-house recruiters and go through a screening and placement process for an organization that has specifically come to us and said, we're struggling to find this particular candidate, can't necessarily find them at a career fair or through the board. We really need a streamlined process here. That's where our placement services come into play. But again, for all three of these verticals, everything starts with the professional profile creation.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We got the job board, we got the career fairs, and we got the what do they call? Do they call them headhunters these days? Is that what they're calling them?
That's
Direct placement.
I'm not sure if the current vernacular, headhunter absolutely still flies. So these are folks that have been literally tasked with filling a gap, filling a role, and this is where they're going to go into our ecosystem and other networks to identify an individual to really do some hand holding and place that individual specifically into a role. So yeah, but
Awesome.
headhunter absolutely works still.
All right, what's next?
Well, I figured what we would do is I wouldn't even call it a dry run. Let's do a live demonstration of what one can experience when you hit recruitmilitary.com, how to navigate in a really quick and concise way from start to finish, how to become visible. You need to be seen by these organizations. If you're not present, if you haven't announced your presence in the workforce or your desire for a new career, it's impossible for you to be considered. And many of us right now, I say us, within our community and America at large, many have jobs, but not necessarily the career. The last 2 years have given us a lot of opportunity to kind of audit, is this where I want to stay? Is this where I'm going to retire from? And if the answer is no, or I don't know, if you've hit a ceiling in terms of compensation, this is your opportunity to kind of break through that ceiling and take advantage of the wealth of opportunities that are out there. I just read a report the other week that said, even if every single person that is currently unemployed were to find a career, find a job, get out of the unemployment line, meaning we have 0% unemployment, America would still have 5.4 million open jobs. So that's kind of your eye opener in terms of there's a lot of demand for talent right now. So if you're anything other than satisfied with what you're doing professionally right now, I strongly encourage you to explore what your options are. And that's what our ecosystem allows you to do.
So it's a job seekers market.
Yeah, 100%. And that wasn't the case just a handful of years ago. It was, corporate America saying, here are the jobs, take it or leave it. If you don't want it, somebody else is in line that will take it. Now it's completely flipped. Now companies are forced to fix their culture, to fix some of these deficits that is essentially right now leading to them hemorrhaging talent. It's one thing to recruit, it's another thing to retain, and those two problems are big problems right now for a lot of companies. So it's forcing them to really adjust fire and make sure that they've got an environment that fosters that retention. That it's a brand that people want to hang their hat on. So again, it's hard to be considered if you're not in front of them, if you're not visible. So if you're good with it, Lucas, I'm just going to do a little bit of screen sharing and kind of walk through the experience.
Let's dive in.
Bear with me just so I can make sure that I am showing the correct screen. So forgive me for anybody that's seeing duplicative images of Lucas and myself. So Lucas, can you just give me confirmation that you can see recruitmilitary.com?
Yeah, I can see it. Let's see if
All
I
right.
can figure out what the right button is to press here now. There we go. Now we're in business.
All right. We're live. Forgive us, folks. We've only done this a couple hundred times and we're still learning. So everything, like I mentioned, those three verticals, the ability to get in front of these organizations and kind of announce your availability, it's all going to start with your professional profile creation. So by simply navigating to recruitmilitary.com. A couple things that I just want to point out. One, you've got your job seeker experience, which is us, which is the military community looking for that next great opportunity. Directly to the right is the employer experience. So if you are an employer and you're looking to hire and retain more military talent, this is your path. But for job seekers, for the military community, this is going to be your path. And you can see here right on recruitmilitary.com, you can start your job search. You don't have to create this profile just to see the information. If you want to see what opportunities are there to make sure that this is the right ecosystem for you, you can start the search right away. We want to make sure that you see everything but before essentially committing to submitting that application. So you can see here, you've got the ability to search by keywords, job title, even MOS. And I'm going to give a real quick caveat regarding MOS. Search via MOS for two different reasons. One, if you don't know what you want to do next immediately upon transitioning, if you're not sure what route you want to take, what industry you want to go into, what work category, MOS is a way for you to kind of identify something that may be in line with what you've already been doing, and or for somebody that wants to continue their career down that line of their MOS, engineers, healthcare, some of those things that are that are far more easier to translate from military to civilian. But I wouldn't encourage you, if you've been out of the service for 5 years, 10 years, and you're simply looking to continue your career in a specific industry, using the MOS functionality may not be the best fit for you. So just food for thought there. The other thing I want to point out is that we've got over 400,000 open active opportunities, again, specifically from companies that want to hire and retain military talent. This is not a data bank where we're just arbitrarily pulling in jobs from a state or a federal site or entity. These are all dedicated jobs from specific companies that we're working with in a very intimate way, in a one-on-one consultative sort of way. So these are meaningful opportunities. And then you can see down here, we've added over 6,000 just today. So it's a very fluid environment. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it for the sake of our time here. You're going to identify as a job seeker. And from here, you're simply going to click sign up. When you hit sign up, it's going to push you through the initial registration process where we collect a few different data points. Now, I've already signed in for the sake of time so I can show you what one's profile looks like, but this is essentially what you're going to initially see. You come to your menu, it recognizes who you are. You're gonna create your profile, and within this profile, it's everything from who you are, your contact information, your home of record, down to, do you have active security clearances? If so, what kind? What was your MOS? What military schools have you gone to? Some of the organizations that we're working with are federal entities. They're government contractors in some cases. Think Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, all of those big brands that everybody tends to want to kind of flock to. They want to use some of these military-focused data points as a means to pre-screen candidates. So the closer you get to 100% profile completion, the better. So anyway, you can see here, it's very simplistic. It's fill in the blank, military experience, clearances, resume. This is a big one that I want to focus on here for just a moment. If you have an existing document, it's as simple as dragging and dropping it right into this section. The cool thing that our technology team has created and implemented over the last year or so is resume generation tool. So by virtue of completing your profile, fill out all of this information, everything that you can to get to that 100%. You come down here and you can simply click started. And what it's going to do is it's going to take your profile and essentially, transport all of those data points into a working document that you can utilize as your resume. This is not a federal resume. This does not have cover letters. It doesn't have bells and whistles, but this absolutely gets the job done. It passes the applicant tracking systems. And this is a format that we here at Recruit Military have utilized for years when we're submitting candidates for the placement services that I mentioned on the front end of the call here. So you'll see here, it gives you an opportunity to edit, to modify, and to confirm that all of your information is correct. And then assuming everything is dress right dress and it's how you want it to be, you'll simply click build resume. Give it a moment, you'll get your congratulations prompt, and then boom, you've got a Word document that's attached right there. I'm going to bring it up just for the sake of the demo here. And you can see as I drag it over as well, Again, this is kind of a dummy profile, so it's John Doe, but it's a working document. It's typically going to be 1 to 2 pages, depending on how extensive your background has been. But a very simple document to use. And again, so long as you don't have a document, that call to action will always appear. But if you have a document that you can drag and drop, obviously simply do that. So once you've got your profile completed, next thing you're going to want to do is actually go to the job search itself.
Well, quick question before we jump into that.
Sure.
So we've created the profile.
Yes.
We've either uploaded a resume that we have already created, or we've used the resume tool to create a resume. So who has access to this now? Who can see this? I think you mentioned something about employers, recruiters. Yeah. Who can find this, and how do they find it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the employers that we're working with throughout corporate America, they have licenses to access this database. This is a protected environment, so it's not open to the public per se. It is free for everybody, for all of you service members that are wondering, you guys do all these things. What's the catch? There is no catch. We provide these services for free. The employers on the other side of the coin are obtaining access to this. They're attending our events as exhibitors. They're tagging us and saying, hey, we need those placement services. Hey, we'd like a license to your database so that we can source for talent. So we've got roughly 16,000 organizations that we've worked with over the years.
Wow.
That all have a hand in this. So again, it's very diverse in terms of industry representation, the sort of brands that you're going to be able to find. There's literally something for everybody, whether you are transitioning as junior enlisted or even senior officer type. There are a wealth of opportunities in here. We encourage you to use this. And again, on the placement services side, everything starts by looking at your professional profile and resume. So this is really your launch pad. This profile is. This gives you access not just to the ability to apply to positions, but this makes you visible to those thousands and thousands of recruiters and organizations that are in here combing the system on a daily basis. So everything starts with that profile. Get as close to 100% as you can.
All right, great. So you heard it, folks. If you want to get noticed, if you want to be findable, I don't even know if that's a word.
That works. I think it works.
You want to be findable, get in here, create your profile to 100%, get that resume uploaded, or use the resume tool to create one, and you're going to be visible to a recruiting team and 16,000 employers. Chris, I can't wait to hear what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, a real quick saved round, the system is going to recognize where you are, what your home of record is. So it recognizes I'm out of Cincinnati, Ohio. So it's actually recommending an upcoming career fair. Indianapolis is a stone's throwing distance from me, maybe an hour and some change. And then we've got a national virtual career fair that it's recommending that I register for. So the system is going to push some of these opportunities and events directly in front of you, so you don't have to manually grind it out all the time. But again, the closer you get to 100%, the more the system can make those recommendations. So once we get to the actual job search, I just want to, I encourage everybody to get in here and dig in. We could spend an hour just talking about this, but I've got basically a minute or two. So what I want to show you is the difference between looking for keywords relative to MOS. And for anybody that just wants general tips, again, look here, we've got tips, and we've actually got a video that'll push you directly to a YouTube video that we've recorded showcasing how to perform searches, how to utilize this system. So a lot of what I'm going to cover here is going to be covered a little more extensively within this. I think it's about a 3-minute video. So real quick, let's look at. Actually, let's do the MOS first. I love 42 Alpha because it's got the easiest translation. That's a human resources specialist in the Army. And let's look at a market like Atlanta. So you'll see the system will start populating those locations. We'll do Atlanta, Georgia. Let's do a 30-mile radius. You'll see that's I would consider that a reasonable driving distance. 42 Alpha opportunities within a 30-mile radius of Atlanta, Georgia. You can see there are almost 300. We've got about 270 opportunities here. And you can see a lot of these are in line with human resources oriented roles and opportunities. Now, this system is not going to translate your MOS. What it's going to do instead is it's going to look at what other 42 alphas have ended up looking for and clicking on, so it optimizes that search. We had Google work with us a couple years back to kind of power the back end of our job board to incorporate that machine learning. It's an artificial intelligence that helps to optimize those search results. So the point I want to make here is that, well, one, functionality, you've got almost 300 positions here. That's too many to look for. You can go over here to the left-hand side and filter accordingly. Let's say Honeywell was the golden organization that I always wanted to work with. I'll go from 300 jobs down to 9 jobs. That's a far more manageable number. I can also create a notification so that I'll be nudged every time a new role fits this build, 42 Alpha, 30 miles of Atlanta, Georgia with Honeywell. I can save that search so that I don't have to come in here and manually perform it time after time. So there's some really cool functionality here. But anyway, I digress. We
No,
go back
that's
to
a
the
good function. Will the candidate get some kind of a notification on their phone or tablet, email?
Yeah, so the way that it's structured right now, you can simply toggle to have your email turned on. So every time a new
There you go.
opportunity comes into this search criteria, you're going to get a nudge via email. The other thing I want to point out is that simply by virtue of creating your profile, one of our in-house specialists is going to reach out to you
Really?
telephonically. If you prefer email, that's fine, but you will have a representative from Recruit Military reach out to you, make sure that you've got everything you need to get that profile to 100%, get the resume up there, understand how to perform some of these job searches and register for events. So we're going to provide you with some intimate touch points as well. Again, this is more of a crash course than anything else. So yes, you can get notifications. You can really optimize this so that it's automated and you don't have to really grind it out each and every single day. So we've got 42 Alpha, Human Resources Specialist. Now I want to show you the difference between using 42 Alpha as opposed to keywords. So if we
Okay.
use Human Resources or HR, again, well, it would help if I spelled that correctly. But same search criteria, we've just used the keywords instead of MOS. We go from 239 jobs. Bear with me here 1 second. Sorry, those quotes may have done us no favors. All right, so we've got about 150 jobs. So what I want to point out here is that there are different ways to arrive to the same search criteria, or I'm sorry, the bulk of the jobs. You can search by MOS, you can search by keywords, but they're not necessarily interchangeable. So if you're not finding something that aligns with your MOS, try tapping into those keywords and seeing if it provides any additional results, because you can see the number disparity there. We're off by about 100. That's important to consider. So there's not one way to search for opportunities. Consider keywords. Keywords are always going to be a little more ideal because it's cherry picking directly from the job description. But if you want to go the route of using your MOS, again, it's going to show you what others with that MOS have ended up clicking on and applying to primarily to optimize those searches. So job search, this is essentially how it works. You're going to click on a particular job, make sure that it fits your build. The job requisition itself is a fit. You can apply directly, very simplistic process. It's going to push you directly over to that organization's applicant tracking system so that you start that hiring life cycle.
That's it. You just click a button and that's it. The application's done. You don't have to retype everything 17 times.
No, your profile is what it is. Your resume will be what it is. The application will go directly to that organization. In some instances, some organizations may ask you to fill out the formal application on their website for their applicant tracking system. But again, this is the way to get directly into that ATS, if you will. So that is job searching. That is the application process. And then the last thing I want to show here is job fairs. So career fairs, we do a lot. We're all over the country. We do a lot of virtual events. You can see we've got our schedule mapped out to the end of 2022. We're doing anywhere from 1 to 3 events on any given week. So it's a good blend between virtual and physical events. But again, let's say I resided in Tampa. I wanted to go to this career fair. So long as I am logged into my account, clicking register is as simple as that. You click registration, or I'm sorry, you click register now. It's going to confirm your profile. You simply confirm that, and then you'll get that notification letting you know that that you have formally been registered for that hiring event. And then from there, you'll be entered into our communication flow, where we'll give you reminders, let you know what companies are coming to those events, what categories of work, look at some of the postings themselves, apply to those jobs before going on site and talking to the recruiters so that you have a more meaningful experience. So that was, again, as fast and furious as I think I can do it, Lucas. This is the Recruit Military ecosystem. And if I could give you one bullet point to just take home, it's to get that profile as close to 100% as possible. When you get past 80, you're typically in the clear. But again, the closer to 100% that you can get, the better. So with that, Lucas, if there are any questions or anything else that maybe I could harp on, I'd be more than happy to.
No, this is pretty fantastic. These are 400,000 opportunities, 16,000 employers, and a system that gets you in the door, gets your resume and your profile in front of a team of recruiters, gets your information in front of and searchable in the database. That's absolutely fantastic. Uh, I'll tell you what, folks out there. When I transitioned, I attended a Recruit Military job fair. Absolutely fantastic event. Very professional, very well put together, lots of opportunities. And even if you don't know what you're looking for, get in there and network, get to know some folks, shake hands with those folks, those representatives of those companies, ask the questions, practice that 30-second elevator pitch. I think there's even some resources on the website in the resource center
Yeah.
with advice on how to optimize your success at the career fairs and advice on how to network for success. So once you get uploaded, spend some time in www.recruitmilitary.com. Can you tell us just a few seconds about some of the resources that are in there, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on, I think, some of the most important ones. It's content to serve as a force multiplier for some materials that you may already possess. If you're going through transition right now and you're going through TAP, these are to augment that bucket, if you will. So we've got tutorial videos on resume writing. We have resume templates. If you're going into a specific industry, we do have templates that you can utilize, kind of fill in the blank sort of way, instead of building that resume from scratch or just relying exclusively on the resume generation tool within our system. Crafting that 30-second elevator pitch, best practices and interviewing techniques, how to be successful at a career fair. What's your checklist? What do you do leading up to the event? What do you do after the event? So there's a wealth of materials right there, as well as a calendar of what's happening for that given month. So if you're looking at that 50-meter target, what's directly in front of you, the resource center is going to give you all of that information. So you saw that 3-bar menu drop down where I went to go for the job search and for the career fairs themselves. At the bottom of that list is the resource center. So you can simply click on that. You can also access it by just going to the job seeker experience when you first go to recruitmilitary.com. So everything is streamlined and fairly easily accessible, but use those materials to make sure that you're leading with the best foot forward when you're going to have that next interaction with an employer.
Chris, that was absolutely fantastic. If you could just give out one more piece of advice, one key takeaway, one thing that folks can remember from today's show to help them be successful, what would that one thing be?
I would say put yourself out there right now. Be willing to expand your network. You mentioned the events; they're great networking tools. This is about social capital. We know that most Americans are working right now, but are they working in a career that they're extremely passionate about? I would challenge anybody that's not passionate about getting up every day and going to work to really audit, what they're doing and whether or not they might be open to a new opportunity. And if you are open to a new opportunity, put some feelers out there. Start networking. Start having some conversations with recruiters, because you don't know about an opportunity or an organization unless you've done some research or made an attempt to engage them.
Sounds like great advice. I really hope that the folks out there understand exactly how much we've put into this, exactly how much of the company is invested in creating these tools. They're absolutely fantastic, and absolutely get yourself out there. Don't stand in the door. The journey of 1,250 feet begins with a single firm step forward. Chris, thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Lucas, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
And folks, if you haven't already done so, after 28 minutes of this show, I shouldn't have to tell you, go to www.recruitmilitary.com for access to over 16,000 employers and 400,000 job opportunities around the world and around the corner. Well, that about wraps it up for us today. Tune in next week when we hear from the U.S. Navy's own Arabia Shanklin. She'll be talking the value of mentorship, whether in service, in uniform, or in transition. This has been Lucas Connolly for Recruit Military Live. Until next time, good luck and Godspeed.